intelligence do you need to crack the code?
It doesn't really matter. Like you will be given the cipher, so it's not an issue. We are live. Welcome everybody. We are live and in color. Hopefully we're live. Hopefully people are here. It is a Friday evening, D&D Friday here on Evil's Lair. We have, because of our Waterdeep campaign being on hold for a little bit because of IRL things and stuff, we just decided to do a one-shot. So here we are. I'm your DM, Evildoer, Dungeon Master. Over beside me here we have some players you will recognise. People you should recognise for being in the chat, or maybe recognise their voices more so than faces. We have a new player joining us as well, all the way from the other side of the world, Miss Ari down there in the corner. So first and foremost, we have Mr. Drax. Everyone knows who Drax is. If you don't, you haven't been in this channel long enough. If you should know, even once you hear him, you'll know. We've got Drax playing Furious Phil, an Elven monk this evening. We've got Neon Reptile, or aka Neon STY, whatever his name is now, but Neon from over there doing the things and stuff, playing a Tiefling Warlock this evening. We've got Sticks and Stones, who is in our Waterdeep campaign, as well as Neon. So you guys should recognize them, playing a Halfling Bard / Rogue, and we have obviously Ari Nicole playing a Tiefling Druid, a Druid. STYW. Oh, SYTW. Too many letters. Take the letters away. Anywho, so tonight's a little bit different. Normally we use Foundry for my D&D stuff, but tonight we're running strictly with D&D Beyond character sheets and no battle maps. It is all theatre of the mind, so it'll be a little bit different. It just means the onus will be put on me for being a little bit more descriptive about what things are and where things are. You guys don't have to worry about ranging quite so much, or you generally just ask me, are you within range or are you not within range, and I'll say yes or no. And essentially, so movement is not a big issue. Essentially, you're going to move within range unless you're stupidly far away in the RP side of things anyway. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. So, without further ado, we shall get into our story. Our story begins with a relatively well-to-do carriage traveling the roads of Faerun, heading southward. The day is overcast and drizzly and a little cold. And as we see this carriage traveling forward down the road, it's a little bit bumpy, and you get the smell of damp earth, and you can hear every now and again the carriage wheels will drop into a puddle and you get the splashing of water. Sitting within this carriage, the employees of G.N.O.M.E, Grand Neverwinter Organization's Museum of Exploration. They have been tasked with a endeavor to go southward to the township of Toroma Lvado, where it is said that people seem to have grown rich recently. Perhaps the uncovering of a new tomb or a new dungeon that has not yet been discovered by G.N.O.M.E, and they wish to get their hands on some of the artifacts that possibly reside therein. So our group of adventurers have been tasked to go to Toroma Lvado by way of Heathcrest and retrieve said artifacts and potential magical items to bring back to be studied and later displayed at a museum if this is what it was required. Our party is being paid rather handsomely for their endeavour. This is not their first outing. However, they've been out a couple of times as a group in a couple of lesser dungeons. This one's a little bit more of an adventure and a bit of a task for them. But nonetheless, I believe that they have been believed by their superiors to be up to the task. So firstly, as we sort of pan into the interior of our coach, We see 4 individuals seated, 2 on either side facing each other, being jostled about a little bit inside the carriage as it's being drawn along the road. And firstly, we see a tiefling, relatively well dressed, I would assume. I mean, most of you would be well dressed as you are. I mean, dressed appropriately for your adventures and for where you are traveling to. So, Neon, could you please describe and introduce your character and describe what your character looks like for the viewers and for your companions?
Oh, this tiefling that you see sat across from you or next to you is a reasonably tall-looking fellow who, despite wearing rather bulky half-plate, seems a little bit scrawny, which probably would strike you as slightly odd. He's keeping fairly quiet to himself and looking around over the other side of the carriage, always a little bit on edge, almost as if he's lost in his own thoughts, talking to himself. You see, Cathan Zorias.
What is Cathan wearing? So half plate, you said half plate armor?
Yes, half-plate armor.
Carrying
Clothing only really to cover anything that is not covered by the half-plate.
weapon of choice. Any weapon visible or no?
The only weapon that you are able to see is a shield in his offhand. Well, more attached to his arm, really.
Interesting. And any particular colouring to Cathan, or is he human skin tone? As we all know that tiefling are demon born after all. Does he inherit the skin colouring of his demon ancestry, or does he look more human?
He's definitely one of those deep, dark red-looking tieflings with black hair, shaved sides. And he's a little bit older than you might expect.
Interesting. Nice.
Not very old, but he's definitely not a spring chicken anymore.
Does he have horns by any chance?
He does have horns. Indeed.
Oh shit. Sorry, Sticks. That's what you. I think it's what you originally had. That's why I put it in. That's my bad. You can keep it as it is. We can change it. That's just not a drama. You just describe him as he is. It's fine. That's my mistake. So we will go to Zigzabule next, as I've made a balls up chat. So I'll get you to. I might be able to fix this actually on here while we're busy doing this. But Sticks, would you? You are seated next to Cathan. So I'll get you to introduce your character and what we see while I fix this balls up that I made.
You see a very tall fey creature with hooves and very hairy legs. He's in fact a satyr.
Forgot to show.
He's in fact a satyr, and he has horns that are actually covered by his clothing that is draped all the way through around his head, down his body. That is both red and black, and he is currently got his flute out and is just playing with it, just fiddling with it in his hands. And every time he gets his little finger stuck in one of the holes, he starts laughing and shaking his finger, and looks around the room, and then you hear this pop as he pulls his finger out. And
interesting. So that is Zigzabule, the satyr bard rogue, not the halfling as I had him listed. It is now fixed on the overlay as well. So Zigzabule and Cathan are seated next to one another in the rear of the carriage, facing forward. On the opposite side of our carriage, we find another individual. I would imagine probably dressed in robes, but I'll let him describe himself. Drax, would you describe your character, introduce your character by name, and describe what your companions see?
Well, I'm Furious Phil. I had a longer name, but it's too long and confusing for literally everyone, including the gods and the DM.
100%.
He's wearing very simple brownish clothes, like brown shirt, brown pants. Everything's really baggy. But on the front, it's brown. On the back, it's white. He smells very much like whiskey, and he smells very much like pie. So it's not overly disgusting smelling, but it smells quite nice to be fair. It's not unpleasant. He's about 5 foot tall. He's got blue eyes. He's got short blondish hair. It's not unkempt, but it surprisingly looks quite good. His eyes are sharp, but they always look sharp. It's like even when he's like awake and obviously clearly aware, his eyes are always sharp. Unless he's heavily intoxicated.
He's also very elvish.
Very elvish, and he staggers when he walks, like it's just a light stagger. He's got a big hip flask on his belt, and the handles of short, sharp weapons sticking out of his belt as well. It's not painfully obvious what they are, but
I mean, you guys have travelled together, so you would understand what weapons you equipped, that you generally have equipped. So you generally have an understanding of how each other operates to a certain degree. I mean, you haven't been together long, but you've had a couple of excursions with this company. But thank you. Anything else, Furious Phil, that stands out for you?
He's got a big backpack. On his backpack, there's a big cork right in the middle of the back, like just above his shoulders. And just down on his side, on his left side, there's a little tap so that he can fill up his flask.
That's awesome. Amazing. And sitting next to a Furious Phil is another tiefling. So 2 tieflings in the group. So Ari, would you introduce your character by name and describe what your character looks like to the chat and to your companions?
Her name is Katara, and she is a very short tiefling and sort of young. She has long blonde hair. She's wearing like noble clothes. She has blue eyes and 2 little horns that stick out of the top of her head and curl right at the tip.
And what color tiefling is she? Is she more human toned, or does she have...
She's human colored, very pale, light colored skin.
Very leaning more towards the human side of her ancestry, more so than her demon blood. But nonetheless, tiefling in nature. So the 4 of you, again, let's say slightly, not being slammed about inside this carriage as you travel, you'd expect a little bit of jostling inside. The roads aren't paved or anything like that, so the roads are a little bit soft because it has been raining. So it's a little bit, almost like a fog sort of hanging in the air, sort of mid-morning leading into lunchtime as you travel down this road. About half a day from your destination, suddenly the carriage pulls to a halt. The 2 of you at the back, Ziggs and Kathan, you sort of thrust forward, not enough to land in your companion's laps, but you sort of thrown forward, you have to sort of catch yourselves as suddenly you hear the driver, whoa! and
I
almost
intentionally fall forward and land in Cathan's lap and pull up just sorry.
as the sort of carriage pulls to a stop. And you hear the muffled voices from above. The driver and his companion. There's always two, one riding shotgun, as there was in most carriages, and you can hear them sort of muttering something to themselves, and then you hear the splosh of boots on wet soil, and then the door sort of pulls open. We got a bit of a situation here. Would you mind giving us a hand? And it appears we have another carriage or cart or something overturned on the side of the road. We're going to see if they need some help. And he's sort of looking at any of you to respond.
Saying absolutely nothing. Cathan will just rise and hop out the side of the cart and head over.
No worries. Anyone else?
Phil gives him a hand.
Of course he does.
I'll stand up and go, what sort of help? Is it the bleeding type?
Oh, well, I'm not quite entirely sure. We need to find out what's happening. I mean, whether someone's in trouble, someone might need a hand. I mean, someone might be hurt. Do any of you have medical training of any kind? Magical healing, perhaps?
Tara will get out and help.
No worries. So we've got Cathan and Katara so far. Does Zigzabule get out and help? Does Furious get out and help, or do they remain inside the carriage?
I was going to say Tolvia gets out to help, but I was trying to
wrong
remember
character.
how cool. Yes, Phil will get out just in case.
Okay, so as you all exit the carriage, the driver, and you can see the driver and his companion have both gotten down. The guy that was riding shotgun, still with a sub, thank you very much, draws a heavy bow, sort of pulls it half draw and starts walking towards this overturned carriage as a precaution. And even the driver takes it very cautiously. You see he's got a hand on his weapon, which is a short sword to one side. He's just got his hand on the handle. He hasn't drawn it, but he's got his hand on it ready to draw just in case. You slowly move forward, and the rain starts to fall a little heavier. So with the combination of the rain and the sort of fog that's hanging in the air, you can just make out maybe 50 or 60 feet just up the road. On the right-hand side, there's a open-top cart. You know, like the Western-style wagons has got the fabric sort of top over the top with the big metal hoops. Two of those hoops are completely smashed. The fabric is torn. It's listing on its right-hand side really heavily, like the right-hand wheel may have completely broken off. And you can't see a horse or a bullock or anything that may have pulled it that's sort of obscured from your view. But you can make out the sort of outline and the shape of this thing as you approach. What I will get everyone to do, first roll of the night, is I'll get everyone to roll a perception check. So all you got to do, Ari, is go down the big long list of skills and find perception, and just click on the number to the right-hand side of it. It should be in the center of your character sheet. So
Phil doesn't see anything with Nat 1.
and that one to start off. That one from
for a 9.
Oh shit. So Phil with a 7 total, Ziggs with a 9, Katara with a 25. Was that a natural 20 on the roll?
No.
No? Jeez. What a roll. What is Kara's? Her perception's +6. Holy shit. Well done. So the 25 and the 18. Yes, Phil doesn't see anything. He's kind of looking through closed eyes, so he doesn't see a damn thing. Can't really hear too much over the falling of the rain either. Zigzabule, you're probably too busy giggling still to notice anything. Following the rest of them as they sort of stroll forward cautiously. Katara is the first to notice it. Cathan probably following Katara's gaze as Katara probably steps in front of him slightly. you notice that there is a body to the right-hand side of the overturned cart, badly mauled. Looks like his insides are on his outside, and spilled across the side of the road. +6 on that one. That's terrible, Drax. But yes, so you definitely notice a body. Is the first thing you notice. You can't really hear anything, although with an almost nat 20, with a 25, I would say that you get the impression that there's something over there, because you can hear a sound, you're just not sure what it is. You're not sure whether it's speaking or growling. It's kind of hard to hear with the rain that is falling and the wind that is howling around your ears. So it is up to you whether you approach further. If you are going to approach, which left or right, and whether you're going to approach cautiously or not. So we'll start with Phil. Obviously, you're not really aware of this unless, Katara, you point out this fact to the rest of your group. Or Kathan, for that matter. But Katara and Kathan definitely noticed the body.
If it would help anyone else's decision-making here, Kathan, upon seeing this and noting what Katara has spotted, it wouldn't really speak, but what he would do is lay a hand on the shoulder as he moves past and positions himself in front of every individual that's in front of him, including the wagon drivers.
Okay, so do you move more into a defensive stance, would you say?
I would say yes. He's getting ready to be the front man.
Okay.
And would position himself towards the opposite side of the wagon to the body.
Okay. So I would imagine the fact you guys have worked together previously, that this is probably something you have seen Kathan do before, moving himself into a position to offer. He's obviously wearing pretty heavy armor, so he's moving himself into a position to take first attack or some form of attack, or in a relatively defensive stance, putting himself in between you guys and whatever this is. Still with Katara, do you say anything about what you see to the others as Kathan moves in front of you?
I just tell the others, there's a body over there. I don't know if they're alive or not.
You're pretty sure they're not alive. Their insides are definitely on the outside where they're not supposed to be. So Katara would definitely know that they are deceased. But Katara does let you guys know there is a body on the right hand side of this wagon. So that now gives Phil and Zigzabil. What do you do with seeing Kathan, with this information, seeing Kathan move forward into that defensive position?
Suppose we better check to make sure there's some whiskey in case it needs to be rescued from the wreck. He's going to reach down and put his hand on his hip flask.
No worries. Preparing yourself. What is Zigzabil doing?
I take out a dagger and flick it up in the air and land the point on my finger, and it draws blood, and I go, no fun, already dead.
Awesome. I love it. So with that, you move forward slowly, cautiously. Even the driver sort of gives you a glance, Kathan, and sort of gives you a nod as he moves around the left-hand side of the wagon, moving towards the front of it. Draws his weapon, ready for anything that's sort of about to happen or may not happen. You moving left or right, Kathan, as you move forward?
Did you say the body was...
The body was at the rear right.
I'll be going round the left.
Okay, so you follow the driver as he moves around.
I'll move ahead of the driver.
No problem.
No weapon in my hand.
No problem. As you've put yourself into a forward position, you would round the front of the cart first. You find the long-horned bullock that was once pulling this wagon in a similar state, completely eviscerated, entrails scattered across a fair distance. What you do notice almost immediately, you don't even need to roll for this, is even though you can literally see the entrails that are strewn around about the place haphazardly, but the side of the beast as it's lying on its side, sort of facing away from you, is moving still. Like it's not like it's breathing, but there's something there as you move closer. So we'll resolve that and we'll see what the others are doing at this point. So who would be following Kathan around the left-hand front of the wagon, and who would be wheeling around to the right? Or you're going to follow Kathan?
I've moved towards the back of the wagon.
No worries. Katara?
I follow Gathan.
And Zix?
I was going to go left anyway, so I'll go left.
You'll follow Kathan? No worries. So the three of you moving around left, as sort of Kathan rounds the front, the rest of you sort of follow suit, you would all see a similar sight. This beast of burden lying on its side, facing away from you. You can see bits of entrail up over its body and strewn around the place, but you can see that the side of this thing is moving irregularly. It's not like a breathing movement, although it could be potentially. You're not entirely sure at this point. You can't really hear anything because of the rain, but you can definitely see movement on the side of this beast. What do you do?
Zigzabiel bends over and starts drawing a smiley face with evil eyebrows and two horns in the viscera.
This dude is sick. I like him.
Kathan would sort of motion to Katara to keep a few feet back from the body. As he moves over to it, he wants to get as close to it as he can. I suppose he's sort of stealthing in a way.
You probably don't
Doesn't want to
really
disturb
need.
the creature.
Yeah. Okay, roll a stealth check for me if you're wanting to move forward
Be a
without.
good one. It's going at disadvantage, but
It will be a
roll
disadvantage for you, unfortunately. But
it did not auto disadvantage, so I will roll it again.
yeah. Remember to right click. It's not like Foundry, so you'll have to right click it and roll appropriately. So 10.
I just didn't. It had a D next to it, so I didn't know if it would auto.
Yeah, it just shows you that it's the disadvantage. So on D&D Beyond, you still got to right click it and select advantage or disadvantage. But a 10, pretty average. But it's raining. It's not so bad. You move forward. What is your intention?
I want to get within range to attack the moving part of the massive body.
So you want to be able to see what's there before you make an attack. I'm assuming.
I just want to get close enough to see them move, to be in range of hitting the part that's wriggling.
Okay, so you'll have to move around the front of the cart. You move around slowly around the head of the bullock lying on its side. As you sort of look down, as you move around, this thing's clearly dead. Its eyes rolled. Its one eye that you can see is rolled back in its head. Its tongue is hanging out, like its mouth is half open. The tongue's hanging out in the dirt. It's clearly deceased, and probably by the looks of it, you could probably determine it's been deceased for a little while at least. It's like the tongue's starting to discolor even. As you take another step around to sort of get a look at the side of this animal, as you sort of peer around the side there, the whole side of it is open, ribs exposed, and as you do so, the small head pops out and just spins and locks eyes with you. Red leathery skin, yellow eyes, razor sharp teeth, covered in blood and viscera. Like there's bits hanging from its teeth, and it sort of looks at you, then dives back into the body of the beast, not even worried by you. And you can, now that you're close enough, you can hear it gnawing on bone and meat. Not even concerned with you at all. We'll leave you there for a second. Phil, as you round the rear of the cart, you now see what Katara first discovered, which is the body of what looks to be a dwarf. Chest open, stomach open, entrails pulled out, and bits and pieces everywhere. Like, again, clearly dead, very pale, looks like he's been dead for several hours at the very least. As you sort of move further around, what you do see, looking at, you would probably notice this being who you are and what you are, several kegs on the cart, ale kegs, it looks. They're stamped. You can't really read it from where you are, but it looks like it's an official stamp of some sort on the side of it. Several, however, have spilled out and broken and have poured their contents out onto the road, onto the side of the road and down into the water table. So it looks like you're not sure how many may be intact. They might be, might not be, but there's definitely several barrels busted. As you sort of start having a quick look, you also spy a small creature who looks to be dragging a foot with a boot and a bit of, like, it's a boot with some bone and meat hanging out the end, and it's sort of dragging it and gnawing on the end of the bone. And it, again, looks up at you, startled, bright yellow eyes, red leathery skin, not very big, razor sharp teeth though, that much you can definitely see. And it carries on trying to, I mean, the foot's almost as big as he is, and he's still trying to drag it away from this. And he's not really concerned with you, just continues to try and drag it away. So we will start with Kathan. What do you do when you see this creature and it just dives back into the belly of this beast and goes back to having a meal, basically?
So can I see any of it, or is it completely inside the
Well,
creature?
you could probably see it's, as it sort of dove back in, I'd say you probably see its feet. Maybe it's got a small tail. You can sort of see it, and the tail almost looks like it's wagging. Like this thing's like happy as a pig in a fucking pigsty. Like it's going for it. He's
Oh, I feel
having a
bad.
big meal. Like, he's just having a meal, man. He's hungry.
He's happy. He's hungry and he's happy. It's a shame that I'm going to be casting lightning lure.
Okay, before you do that, we are going to so what I will do is I'll get you all now. We'll get all of you to roll initiative because you're going to start the attack anyway, Kathan. But so what you do is on your character sheet at the, where is initiative? Up by your armor class, you'll see right next to the little shield, there is a initiative. I'll get you all to roll initiative, please. And I will roll for my monsters. Okay, so we got a 23 from Zigzabule, 13 from Kathan, 6 and an 8. So 6 Katara and 8. So that means that Zigzabule, you'll get the initiative, but we'll get Kathan to attack first. So you'll get you've initiated this combat, Kathan. So what you're seeing is this little creature, and you're going to cast lightning lure, I believe.
Yes. Do you need the description?
Roll. Yeah. Give me a description of what you're doing, and then just cast it and let me know what happens.
Having seen this creature pop its face out and then show me its wiggly butt while it's feasting on our fallen, well, cart puller, brother. Then from Kathan's free hand, almost like a whip of lightning just forms as he just lashes that onto the hind legs or tail, whatever he can grip.
No worries. So is this a roll to hit or save?
This is a save of DC 16 strength.
Strength save. No worries. You don't need to do anything. I will roll that. And that is a fail with a 10.
Excellent. It is going to be pulled out of the corpse directly in front of me.
No problem.
And it will take some damage.
What is the damage it'll take?
2d8 lightning damage.
Roll your damage, because it definitely takes that.
6.
6 points of damage. Whew. Oops, I did that on the wrong person, I believe. No, did I? Damage. Why is that not doing it? Six. Oh, I know why. Dick. Been a while since I've used this. As you do so, you know that you almost rip its leg completely off as the lightning courses through it, and you pull. It tears through muscle and sinew, and pretty much the only thing that's holding it on now is probably the bone and the hip joint. And this thing screams out in pain, a high-pitched, like blood-curdling sort of growl/scream. I can't get that high, so I'm not going to do it. But it is ear-piercing, which then triggers the rest of you. We'll leave that there for you. So Zigzagoon.
Little, extra description there for everybody watching.
Yes.
That lightning lash disappears almost as quickly as it appears. As soon as I've pulled that creature out, it is gone. So it's almost like just a flash of lightning.
No worries. Nicely done. Zigzagoon, it is now your turn in the initiative order. Ethan, you're up after him. So you.
I see what Cathan's just done, and I pull the dagger from my finger, leaving the blood dripping. And with the biggest smile on my face, and eyes wide, I just look down at it and I go to try and make an attack.
Roll to hit. You charge in and just stab it. I mean, 11, that hits, definitely. So
is this sneak attack?
You won't need to worry about it, seriously. This dude only had 1 HP left, so he was virtually done. As you just lean in and jab it. So whereabouts do you stab it? It's got a leg hanging off. It's sort of standing on one side, trying to pull itself away from Cathan. Like it's looking hurt. It's moving really slow.
On the side that it's already been wounded on and it's dragging along, I'm gonna go for the other side.
Easily
like you do with a spider when you pull off every single one of its legs and just leave it sitting there.
No dramas with that. That definitely is enough to kill the creature. The small creature breathes its last and flops to one side as you withdraw your dagger. And
as a bonus action, I'm just gonna pull the old cartoon like whoosh, and just disappear and hide.
You're gonna hide? Okay. Roll stealth check. Make you roll for it. Why not? 18. As far as you know, you are hidden. Where are you hiding? I suppose you could hide behind the ball or the cart itself. You're a close enough proximity.
You mentioned some kegs. I'm hiding behind those.
That's sort of scattered. Yeah, scattered and broken, sort of leaning all down into the side of the road. So no dramas. So with that, next up, as you two, Cathan and Zigzagoon, standing at the front there, Katara, you're there as well. You've seen this take place. You all then see almost like a mini tornado start to form, and with the fog and rain just to the right of where you are, just up on the road, it starts to like dust and mud and things starts to kick up, and about 15 feet to your right, Cathan, Zigzagoon, and Katara, another creature sort of steps out of the tornado almost. Goat-like in shape, large horns, ears, snout, almost like a large billy goat, but bipedal. His legs are bent back the other way, dirty brown fur, sort of right down to his sort of chest, wearing a makings of maybe a loincloth or something, but long clawed hands. And again, it sort of looks and sort of steps 1 foot, lunges forward a little bit, and then, and you can see that the hot red breath sort of coming from inside of his throat. Eyes bright yellow as well. This creature then looks in your guys' direction. I need Kathan, Katara, and Zigzabil. I need you all to make... No, I don't. Sorry, not yet. Katara, you're the closest, so I need you to make a strength check for me. Strength save, sorry, not a check. That was my bad. So I'll get you to roll a save, which is your saving throws just on the left-hand side at the top of your sheet. You do an 8. Unfortunately, that will fail. What you see is this creature crouches slightly on its hind leg and then just takes a step forward and leaps 10 feet in the air easily. Comes down, and as Katara, as you've turned to see this creature, it lands, hooves on your shoulders, on top of you. You don't take any damage, but it pins you to the ground. You are now prone. You are unable to move, as this creature is now standing on top of you, and it just almost Superman lands, like hooves down you, one hand down the ground next to your head, and it just roars in your face. Foulest of breaths. It smells like sulfur and rotting flesh as it just roars and looks up at you, Kathan, and Zigzabil. That is its turn. Kathan, it is your turn.
So, for flavor, Kathan just sort of mutters almost under his breath, friend of yours, Zigzabil, and then casts Lightning Lure.
Lightning Lure again. It is definitely within range. What's the range on that? 60 feet?
That's 15 feet.
15. Yeah, it's definitely within range. It moved close.
So to spawn 15 feet away, then we could.
Yeah.
So again, DC 16 strength saving throw.
No problem. He has advantage on this.
No.
It still fails though.
Oh yes. Yeah, he's coming straight to me.
No worries.
And once again, 2d8 lightning damage. This time
lightning.
For 9.
9, no worries. So, Katara, you will also, because this has happened, you will also get an attack of opportunity. So you will be able to make one melee attack, either unarmed strike, or if you have a melee weapon, which I believe you do with your scimitar. So just roll to hit. Click the roll to hit first on your scimitar, which is under your actions tab. Here we go. So 6 to hit. Unfortunately, that misses. So you do miss this attack, but Kathan will carry on with your attack. Anything else you wish to do as you've pulled this thing now face to face with you? And it stands as it stands up, as you pulled it close to you, it is about 5 or 6 inches taller than you, easily.
Interesting. I pulled a very large creature over to me.
Did.
Well, with
he failed quite
that
badly on his strength rolls.
Good. Nothing that I can actually do, but once again, having watched everything he's done, as soon as he turns to face me, I'm just going to look him up dead in the eyes and just sort of roar bellow at him.
No worries, easily enough done. Next up, Phil, this creature now with what has just happened, you see the creature that was dragging this foot away from you as what has just transpired. You've heard this bellowing roar. You've heard the lashing of this lightning strike from the front of the wagon. You can sort of see what's going on. It's a little obscured. But this creature also heard what was going on and drops his foot sort of turns towards the front of the wagon, then turns back to look at you, and vanishes and is gone before your eyes. So now it's your turn, funnily enough. But it just disappears.
Phil will be gonna look to see if there's any undamaged casks.
You're going to take it's going to take your whole action to do that, because that'll be an investigation.
I think that's what he'd do.
Okay, roll investigation.
I think that's what his priority would be.
I think that probably would be too, to be fair. 19. It's a pretty good investigation check. So, not worrying about this creature because it's gone, obviously. You think, oh well. So you climb up on the back of the overturned wagon, and you sort of look around, you start poking around through the back there. You find 2 intact kegs. The rest look like they've either got at least been punctured or completely smashed. There are 2 intact ale kegs. On the side of them, the one that you can see clearly has a name. And it has a name called Smelly Dwarf Toe Ale. Imprinted on the side with a picture of a toe sort of burnt into the side of the keg. Just for a little bit of context there for you. But you do find 2 intact barrels.
Are they full-size barrels?
They are full-size barrels, yes.
So not something I'll be able to lift.
You'd probably be able to lift one. Like, you wouldn't be able to carry them both.
They're in the wagon, aren't they?
They are in the wagon, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, you wouldn't be able to carry them. You'd better, I'd say with your strength, looking at your strength, yeah, you'd probably struggle on your own, but you probably could carry it. It'd be a slow trip, but you'd be able to get it out of the wagon if you really wanted to.
I wouldn't do that. All right. They've look for anything else. I'm assuming it's just the ale.
It looks like just the ale at this point. So yeah, you've not seen anything else. Is that your turn?
I will climb up onto the top of the wagon.
And from there, you will see this goat-like creature quite clearly.
And then call out and go, don't worry, we've got 2 survivors. There's 2 full kegs in here. And that will end my turn.
They would love it.
Because that's pretty much everything.
No worries. As you do that, as you climb up onto this is gold. As you climb up onto the back of the wagon and sort of see what's going on at the front, and you declare your findings, I need you to make a dexterity save for me as something underneath you starts to move. Yeah, no.
Oh.
You get knocked, you get toppled backwards off the back of the cart as something underneath you sort of moves beneath the broken wood and other bits and pieces of the back of this wagon. And then as you topple backwards off the wagon, which you will take 1 point of bludgeoning damage, so I'll get you to remove that from your character sheet. As you sort of slap backwards on the flat of your back, you sort of look up to see what it was, and you see another creature, very interesting, well, very monstrous looking creature. Almost looks like a sloth. About 5.5 feet tall, big long leathery ears, but again, a more full of razor sharp teeth. And instead of one or two toes like a sloth, it's got a full set of talons. Light grey, leathery skin, again, bright yellow eyes. And it just sort of starts sniffing the air and looks over the edge at you as it sort of notices you're now there, and it growls and sort of clambers down over the edge on all fours towards you. It is going to make 1 attack at you. It's going to try and bite you. God damn. Misses with a 6, so you're pretty safe there. So you are lucky with that one. Katara, it is now your turn. You are prone, so you have to get up after being knocked on your butt, but you are able to recover and get up. Now, this creature that attacked you or jumped on you is now between you and Kathan. Kathan has dragged it towards him. It has its back to you. And you are easily within range of reaching it if you wish to reach it. Otherwise, you can cast a spell. Whatever you wish to do.
I'm gonna get up and use Thorn Whip on it.
Thorn Whip, no worries. So that's a roll to hit. So click the roll to hit on that. A 10. This is on this dude. It misses, unfortunately. As you sort of get yourself to your feet and you think, fuck. You cast the cantrip Thorn Whip. The thorns whip out from your hand towards the creature, but just misjudge it slightly and catch the side of the bull instead that it's at the front of this carriage, leaving a rather nasty slashing wound from the thorns from the Thorn Whip. But unfortunately, you do miss. I don't know if you have a bonus action. That was an action. You do have a healing word, which you can do as bonus action, but that's about it. That's about all you can do. You can move into a better position if you wish to get closer to it, or do you want to get further away from it?
Get closer to it.
So you move yourself into a flanking position, shall we say, putting yourself in a advantageous position, also giving Kathan a possible advantage as well. So chat, speaking of advantages, channel points, guys, we got advantage for the DM and advantage for the players. So if you want to give an advantage to a player, just hit advantage to the player, and the next player will get advantage on their roll. Same for the DM. It's in the channel points. So with that, we're back to the top of the order. Zigzabule. This creature from your hidden position is probably about 20 feet from you. Kathan has his back to you. The creature standing in front of him. You've seen Katara move in behind this creature, putting herself into a flanking position. What are you doing?
From behind the hiding spot, you might just hear the sound as he starts humming along. It's the sound of something Celtic, and it sort of goes ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And he jumps up and he starts doing the river dance as he moves further closer.
Oh, I love it.
And he takes out his rapier as he does the dance, and he's still going ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. Gets in super close. Bonus action, he's going to cast Kinetic Jaunt.
No worries. Explain
so
what that does for our chat.
It basically starts him in a dance-like move. He gets increased speed. He doesn't provoke opportunity attacks, and he can basically stand in the space of another, and it doesn't count as difficult terrain. However, if he stops there, it'll do damage.
Yeah, okay, cool. No worries.
So he'll walk right up and just sort of stand there for a second, dancing around, and then he poses and just pushes his arm out with the rapier to stab.
Roll to hit. I'll give you advantage on this too, because essentially all three of you are now within melee range, so it gives you the advantage on the attack. 23 definitely hits. Roll your damage.
And this is sneak attack as well?
It will be. You have companions within 5 feet.
And I will also burn a bardic die for this to be a psychic blade damage.
No worries. So 7 psychic damage. And 10 on the psychic damage, psychic blades. That's cool. I like it. The creature roars in pain as you inflict your wounds.
And I'll take one step forward to stop in his space, and I'll end my turn.
No worries.
So I'm standing inside him.
He's standing inside. Don't you take damage if you do that?
Yeah.
How much damage do you take?
It's a D8.
Okay, so I'll get you to roll that as well. Does he take the damage or do you take the damage?
I take the damage.
Okay.
So it's 6 points of damage.
So you take 6 points of damage as you're now inside this creature. So I
I get
wonder
shot
what you would see while you're inside this creature. I mean, it would be kind of weird. I mean, I don't know entirely how that works. But anyway, that is your turn. It is now its turn. So I would say with you inside it, I'm going to give it disadvantage on its attack because it's going to feel weird and creepy, and it was going to do something, but I would say probably now it probably can't. Actually, no, maybe it could.
They do get shunted out of its space with the damage.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you wouldn't be able to finish and stop there, so you'd be shunted 5 feet to one side. Okay, that makes more sense. Anywho, so now, one thing I did forget for all of you, which I will now do for Kathan and Zigzabil because I did forget about it. Kathan and Zigzabil, I need you to both roll Constitution saves for me, please.
Is this a spell?
No, this is not a spell. This is an effect from this creature. 18 from Kathan, 9 from Zigzabil. So, Kathan, you will take 2 points of necrotic damage as this creature exudes a very disgusting and potent aura and smell and just presence in general, which is called rotting presence. And Zigzabil, you'll take 5.
All right. And I need to make 2 Constitution saves because kinetic joint is concentration.
Okay, so yes, so as long as you're DC 10, you're fine because both your damages are under 10. So I think you should be good. So that's just what that happened. That was supposed to happen at the start of each of your turns. This creature, looking around at sort of where he currently is, looks at you, Kathan. You were sort of you weren't the last one to attack it, but you're the one that sort of roared in his face and got in his face. So he's going to spin slightly on his heels. Does a 13 hit you?
No.
Does not. You deflect as you see this barbed tail sort of flick around from behind this creature as it sort of spins on its heels and spins its hip. You raise your shield instinctively. It just clashes off side of your shield, deflecting the blow. You notice it because it's quite close to you that not only would you have taken some pretty significant piercing damage from this barbed tail, it is oozing with some form of sort of reddish brown ichor as well. So not necessarily a good thing. So you managed to save from that. And in this moment, the creature raises its head into the air and roars once again. This time a slightly higher pitched roar, and it's almost like it's speaking in some form of tongue. Does anyone speak Infernal or Fiendish?
Yes.
You do. Okay, the two of you, as it raises its head and roars, what you understand it as saying is, "Back to the hells with you, you fools." And in that instance, it almost is sucked backwards through what you would now see another twisting sort of somewhat tornado-esque sort of formation from behind it, and it's pulled backwards through this portal, if you will, and is gone. Furious Phil, the creature that has taken a bite at you and missed, is now sort of leaning over you, ready to make another attack. Raises its head with this and is also sucked back through a similar portal from behind it and vanishes. And that will end our combat situation as these creatures just vanish. The rain is still falling, starting to get heavier. The driver and the driver and the guy who was riding shotgun are just, as you sort of look around, are standing there, both jaws open, in disbelief, like that sort of moved across the other side of the road, now moving across, so, and looking at you guys going, the driver looks, are you all right? What the fuck was that? Oh, that smell. Oh. And now you can all smell it too. That smell of burnt sulfur is really thick in the air. I would almost hazard a guess that you guys probably may or may not, I'd say probably had smelt something similar before, dealing with not so much demons per se, but just dealing with interesting beings that you have probably seen in dungeons and such. So that is the end of that encounter. What are you doing?
Zathan looks
Yeah.
visibly upset.
Sorry.
Sorry. That is all. Cathan just looks very visibly upset that this thing has disappeared in front of him.
Phil will be quick
Dance
to
my
get to
way.
his feet and make sure that the ale's safe.
Of course he would.
I'll dance my way back to the coach. Playthings.
Done. So we will.
Phil would also like to investigate the rest of the wagon while he's at it.
No worries. So roll another. You can now roll another investigation. But you definitely have 2 barrels. Another investigator. 13. As you sort of rummage around, you do find the bodies of 2 more dwarves in similar states to the one you found at the back. One's just had his throat torn open, and you can see it's been ripped open with claws. It's very jagged, and its whole entire throat's been pulled out. The other one is missing his foot, which would make sense considering the foot you saw being dragged across the ground. You do find on one of the dwarves a note, or looks like a bill of sale, which states 10 barrels of the smelly dwarf toe ale to be delivered to the Raging Bull, the Iron Bull in Heathcrest. The Brass Bull, sorry, Iron Bull. The Brass Bull in Heathcrest is where this ale was headed.
They'd say, oh, all right, we need to take this this ale's heading in the same direction as we are, so can't have an inn without ale.
And it's the driver that sort of speaks up and says, "Oh, exactly. You're quite right. Poor souls. We should probably collect the bodies as well, give them a proper burial when we get to town. But yes, we got room for the ale on the top of the wagon, and we can put the bodies, wrap them up, and put them in the back. If you don't mind helping with that, it would be much appreciated."
Phil would definitely help with the ale straight away. It's definitely his priority, and then he'd go back to help with the bodies as well.
Anyone else
Zigzabiel
helping
turns-
with bodies and ale?
Zigzabiel turns to guitar and just covers his mouth and whispers and says, "You can't have a monk without the drunk."
And what is Cathan doing?
Cathan will have helped bring the bodies, but he'd also bring any remnants of the strange little creature that was slain to
There
further
is no
investigate
remnants
that.
of the
Did
strange
they
little
all
creature.
disappear?
Once it was slain, and once this particular creature had uttered his words, it appears that all evidence of these creatures has vanished.
And he's even
Save
more
the
grumpy than he was
filthy
before.
smell
Phil, be sure to grab the foot as well.
Yeah, no worries. So the bodies are wrapped. The ale is carefully stowed and secured on the wagon. The bodies are wrapped and stowed as well. You re-embark your coach, and you continue your journey towards Heathcrest. The rest of the journey goes without incident. You make it to the township of Heathcrest. The coach stops outside of a delivery first. The driver gets down and informs the right people of what has happened and that the bodies need to be dealt with. He also informs them to send someone to the Brass Bull so they can retrieve their property, which over probably the next sort of 20-30 minutes as you guys disembark, you know that you are staying at the Brass Bull, as it so happens. It's the only inn in town. That's where you've been put up for the evening. It won't cost you anything. The G.N.O.M.E has organized your rooms for the evening, and you are to meet a contact at the Brass Bull at some point. You're not entirely sure who that contact is. You were just told that he or she would approach you once you had arrived at Heathcrest. You're not entirely sure where the inn is in Heathcrest. You've not been here before. But upon inquiry, you are given directions to the Brass Bull Inn, and you make your way there. So on your way there, you've been given a little bit of literature as well about Heathcrest and its surroundings. So with the information that you have, while you're walking, some of you may want to brush up on this information, but the city of Toroma Lvado once stood where Heathcrest now stands. It's a ruin. They've built on top of the ruins itself. So there's still remnants of Toroma Lvado sort of visible here in Heathcrest. So you can see the old archways and that throughout the town. Remnants of old castle walls are still quite evident around the place as well. So it was sort of ruin on top of ruin. Heathcrest was built on top of the ruins of Toroma Lvado. Toroma Lvado was built on the ruins of an ancient city. So there's layers upon layers of catacombs and ruins beneath your feet as you sort of make your way towards the inn. It has become a bit of a farming town. Many farmers and quarry workers and salvagers sort of roam the ruins as well, looking for anything valuable to sell. It appears the information you've been given by G.N.O.M.E is that some people have been striking it rich recently, so that would believe that they've found more than just trinkets or mere pots and things of such nature. So G.N.O.M.E has taken an interest. The sky is definitely still overcast and dreary. The day comes closer to an end by the time you get there and get yourself situated. The rain does start to ease up as you make your way towards the Brass Bull. The town itself is built near a quarry, which is the ruins of part of the older city. And as you get closer to the inn, you can see the structures which sort of currently stand and made up a sort of combination of older original stones, patchwork lumbers, sourced from the surrounding forests, basically just to reinforce existing structures. There's a large river that can be seen flowing through the eastern part of the city as well, which is wide enough for ships loaded with cargo to dock and trade. So despite the heavy rains and the downtrodden look of the city, there's a large number of people that you can see going about their business inside the outer walls. Many races, covering themselves the best they can from the rain, obviously. But the town seems to be bustling. So, unless you wish to look any particular stores or shops, or are you heading directly for the inn? It is getting sort of mid to late afternoon, early evening.
There's
Head to
only
the
one
inn for
place.
Cathan.
There's only one place Phil wants to go.
Of course. Zigzabule taken by shopping or just wanting to head for the inn itself?
I think I'll just head to the inn, but somewhere along the journey, he's licked the blood clean and taken some hit dice back.
No worries.
As a rest.
Katara, anything that sort of takes Katara's eyes, or she's focused on the task at hand?
Katara wants to go shopping, but she goes for the inn.
No worries. So, once you arrive at the Brass Bull, it's pretty obvious that the Brass Bull is what it is, because on the outside of the crumbling exterior of this large stone building, you can see a moderately, God, I can't speak, a moderate-sized walled-off courtyard with an open gate, which leads off the main road. Contains a short path with which circles around this massive statue at its center, leading to an arched doorway. The statue seems to be made of a dull brown metal, which you would assume is brass. It depicts a large bull with horns in the middle of a charge. Placed sporadically within the courtyard as well are statues of human-like figures, most of which have crumbled, and leaving sort of piles of rubble around the ground, sort of about the place. Most of the features are barely recognizable as what or who they were or what they once represented. In contrast, the buildings surrounding you and the courtyard is lined with lanterns and is lit very well, illuminates the area, which causes the shadows of the statues to dance and flicker around you as if they were still alive or moving, perhaps. Two of these lanterns can be seen hanging either side of a heavy stone door at the end of the pathway, and the smell of cooked meat and ale fill the air, much to Phil's delight. So, you have discovered the Brass Bull Inn. As you're walking through this front area, you can have a look around if you want. Like I say, the bull itself is on a sort of a stone plinth, if you will, quite large, and it's life-size. It's a life-size brass bull in mid-charge. Quite impressive. Do you enter inside, or do you want to have a nosy round out here first?
Cathan would probably just head in.
Worries. I'm assuming Phil's just going to head in because he wants food and booze.
Yeah, Phil's just going to head in.
Zigzabule, Katara, did anything take your interest before heading in?
Zigzabule will just decide to do a cartwheel, staying on his hands with his feet up in the air, and just walk in on his hands.
As you do. Katara, I mean, you've probably seen this before from Zigzabule. He's quite frequently displaying his acrobatic skill, and he hums and kind of dances a little bit as well. A little bit reassuring in this dull world, probably.
Being used to his antics, Qatar is just gonna walk right past him and go on inside.
No worries. You enter the building. The heavy stone doors take a little bit of effort to open. Clearly, they're not your typical oak door or steel banded door. They are a heavy stone door. You're all greeted by the warm, flickering, and gleaming light of a large cooking fire. Currently in use, a cook is putting the finishing touches on what looks to be a leg of lamb on a rotisserie, set over a grate atop a well-lit fire, which is layered with vegetables to catch its drippings. The smell of food and spilled alcohol wraps around you as you close the door behind you. Most of the patrons here are seated at tables or booths strewn around the interior. Some of the patrons are still filthy or drenched with rain and sweat from the day's work. Others, less so. Many of them, I mean, they all seem to be enjoying themselves despite the harsh weather and the way that they currently look. There are a few without plates in front of them, but are not empty-handed. As you can see, the mugs of dark, pungent, frothy ale instead of food. Most of them are conversing with others and seated at their tables. So, what are you doing? Do you find a seat? Do you head for the bar? I mean, it's not really a bar per se. It's generally just tables. There are wait staff. Seems that looks like maybe drink is brought to the tables more so than a bar.
As I continue walking in, I'm just going to keep my eyes peeled, and any opportunity I get, I'm going to try and pickpocket along the way.
Roll an investigation check for me first to see if there is any eligible pickpocketees around the place. It appears not. Is that a natural one? Oh, it's a +0. No, it's a 4. So unfortunately, you sort of look around and no one really stands out as a potential target to you. The rest of you, what is Phil up to? Because I'm assuming Phil would be well versed in the art of inns and ale houses. How's Phil approaching this whole situation?
Phil would look around, find a table that would seat 4 people, and you move over quickly, and then sit down, and then start with his hand in there. Where's the bar person? Come on, come to me.
The rest of you join Phil at the table.
Cathan, knowing Zigzibule, will just tap his shoulder just once or twice with that reassuring, just like there, buddy. And move towards the table.
I would say probably, Ziggs, you probably had a really obvious disappointing look on your face when you looked around and couldn't see anyone worth pickpocketing. You're like, oh.
I guess they knew I was coming.
And then as he heads to the table, you try and flag down one of the wait staff.
Easily enough done. You take your seat and you sit down. You find a booth which is sort of out of the way, but enough of a view that you can get a good view of the tavern itself. One of the wait staff wanders over to you and she's a buxom lass. She's half elven by the looks of it. Definitely well endowed in the up front area, carrying a tray, and she's got a towel over her arm, and she walks up to you and says, "All right, then, what'll it be, loves?"
Can I get 1 bourbon, 1 scotch, 1 beer, thanks? That's just for me. It took longer than I was expecting.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to tell you we don't have. I'm not sure what scotch is, but we can do whiskey, and we can do the smelly dwarf toe ale is our speciality.
How big of a vessel does whiskey come in?
I can bring you a bottle if you like.
Perfect.
Easily enough. Anyone else? Would anyone else like something to drink, perhaps?
Better bring a second bottle so the rest of us get a shot.
Another whiskey then, or ale all round, perhaps?
I have a Bloody Mary, and don't spare the blood.
Right.
Ignore him.
She gives you a look and says, so that'll be whiskey and ale for you, and whiskey for you, the rest of you. Right. Food.
And bring some of the dwarf toe.
Not a problem. So
we rescued some casks earlier, so we might as well figure out what it tastes like.
Right. And she sort of turns and doesn't sort of dismisses what you said and turns and eventually comes back with a large tankard of ale for everybody and a bottle of whiskey plonked in front of you, Phil, and a bottle of whiskey and some glasses for the rest of you as well.
Phil would take his backpack off, he'd pop the cork and just fill it straight into his backpack.
No worries. While you are seated drinking, do you order any food as well? It is that time of the day. Obviously,
Absolutely.
you've got lamb, like there's lamb and vegetables. So a hot plate of food is brought to you. Also, you sit there, sort of looking about the place. There's no bard playing here tonight. There's no music. It's just a murmur of voices and hardworking people eating and drinking. There is the one thing you notice after about sort of an hour of being here, you're just sort of getting through the day. Maybe you've discussed a little bit about what happened on the road, and I know at least one of you took some damage, some reasonable damage. I think it was all on your own, but you took some damage. You then hear a loud thud and a shriek, the sound of thick ale being splashed over a tabletop and the sound of it dripping onto the floor sort of turns your attention to the table, maybe 2 tables across from where you're seated. You can see a group of 3 men standing over, like literally almost standing over a table, occupied by a halfling. This halfling has glasses, like little round glasses, that sort of pulled down his face. He's got slicked back hair, and the table's covered in papers, like these books and papers all over the place, which are now, as you can plainly see, are splotched and drenched with ale as the liquid sort of seeps into the papers and drips onto the floor. The halfling is wearing a simple robe, secured to him with a leather belt containing multiple pouches. He's scrambling to dry the books and parchments with a towel or with his cloak, just whatever he's trying to sort of. As he's doing so, the men that are standing there are all laughing backwards and forward with each other before turning back to the halfling. Look at the mess you made, Earthworm. Come on, guys, let's help him clean this mess up he made. And with that, the men pick up the scattered journals and start ripping out pages and using them as napkins to soak up the spilled ale. Stop my notes, no! Oh, shit! And the halfling reaches out quickly to try and attempt to grab the notes from these thugs, but is easily pushed back into his seat as they sort of manhandle him a little bit.
Cathan's already on his feet.
I kind of figured.
He's sighing to himself as he just walks over there, just like,
anyone else
fucking
reacting?
Go again.
Phil would follow.
Yeah.
Katara, do you join? No worries. As the 4 of you stand and start heading over. Oh, calm down, Wormy. We made this mess. Let's clean up for you, right, fellas? And one of the other men just start laughing and nodding in agreement. The halfling then slips out of his chair and underneath the table. The man who was previously holding on to the halfling sort of ducks down to look under the table, and as he does, the pants of the 2 other thugs are pulled down one after the other to their ankles, real plain to see. And the shirts lifted up over their heads, blocking the vision. While looking back up to see what was happening around him, there is a quick flash from underneath the table, and the first man shakes violently for a moment and then falls backwards with singe marks on his wrists. Oh my fucking, what the fuck? The thugs then sort of take a moment to sort of situate themselves, pulling their pants up, and you can see they're all seething with anger, ready to retaliate. They're reaching for weapons. One pulls a dagger, another one a small club, and the third one a double-handed warhammer. Sort of grabs it from his back. But then they stop. They sort of pause, and you can see them sort of looking under the table, over the table. And as you look at their confusion, you can see that the table appears to be completely empty and clean. No sign of the halfling or his books or the spilled ale. Do you still intervene, or do you wait to see what happens?
I mean, at the sight of all these strange occurrences suddenly happening, Ethan is just sort of, eh? Folds arms, leans back a little bit, and tries to make sense of what he's watching.
So you just stand back and sort of wait, not doing anything?
Yeah, just hanging on for a minute here.
Within the next 2 or 3 minutes, a large half-orc individual from behind you guys, you can hear him stomping across the room from behind you as you turn. He's dressed in linen shirt, plain trousers and big thick leather boots. He's got a dirty sort of towel shoved over, sort of thrown over one shoulder, and wearing a makeshift apron. You get the impression this is either the cook or maybe the owner of the establishment. He wanders over there and literally spins one of these guys around, and his big half-orcish fist slams him in the jaw. Get the fuck out of my establishment before I beat the shit out of you lot. Had enough of your crap. Last time you did it, fucking cost me 1,000 gold in repairs. Get the fuck out of here. And he picks another dude up and holds his fist up ready to fucking clock him as well. And he's sort of hands up going, no, we're out, we're gone. And the two of them grab their mate and leave.
On the way out, I stick a foot out to trip one of them.
Okay. I will roll a quick check here. Actually, no, it was a dex. He rolled a 17 on his dex. What's your dexterity? What's your
16?
16.
Is my
Yeah,
score.
so I'd say he was smart enough to sort of see the foot and step over it. Turns to look at you as he does so. Gives you a bit of a stink eye, but thinks better of doing anything because of what's just occurred, and continues to move out.
I pull the foot back, put the other one out, and I start going back into the river dance again.
He's not too worried. And as the half-orc gentleman sort of turns and see you guys standing, he sort of gives you a nod in recognition that you were possibly looking at maybe intervening as well, and heads back towards the back of the room.
As these guys are making their way out the door, though, I will cast Thaumaturgy to make that door kick them in the ass on the way out.
Easily enough done. Not a problem. What you probably do notice as you guys are sort of standing there, as you head back to your table, within maybe 5 or 10 minutes of that happening, even just glancing around the bar, this halfling reappears, sitting in his seat, papers strewn all over the table, covered in ale, kind of disheveled, sorting through his papers. You can hear him muttering under his breath about filthy fucking assholes fucking with my life's work kind of deal. And he's reorganizing his papers. Do you approach him or do you not?
How many of his papers are still strewn about the floor?
He's picked most. It looks like most of them have been picked up, but he's still trying to dry them off and reorganize them the best he can, by the looks of it.
If there are any that he hasn't quite managed to recover yet, I would delicately try and peel them off the ale-ridden floor and
as you do so,
replace them with his
as you
desk.
approach and as you pick one up and put it up, he sort of, fuck. He said, thank you, I appreciate that. Sort of pushes his glasses back up on his face. It's the 3rd time this week. It's getting tiresome. Excuse me, Jasper Earthworm. And he sticks out a hand quite sort of quickly and very sort of, or almost professor-like, to shake your hand.
Kind of looks at it. And then looks back at
Okay.
Earthworm. you say?
I'll stick my hand out instead. And as he goes to reach it, I'll whip it back and go,
He's funny. I like him. Yes, earthworm. I know. It is what it is. What can I tell you? It's actually earthworm, not earthworm. Warm, as in warm, like warm.
Very good.
They call me wormy. No account for brains. They clearly don't have any. Pushes his glasses back, and you can see, like, as he's sort of reorganizing his papers, you can see that a lot of these notes and that have very detailed drawings of some very horrendous creatures. Some that are very similar to creatures you've seen earlier this day, in fact. And as I said, when I say detailed, they're very detailed. Like, they've got very intricate drawings, but they've got notes sort of scrawled down the sides of the pages, some of which you can see, like Yellow Eyes speak infernal, has the ability to cast magic, or just little notes, sort of almost very journal-like and like very scientific-like in the way it's set out. He says, well, thank you for your assistance. Sorry about all this. I'm kind of in the middle of studying, in fact. I'm becoming a wizard. You see, the illusion, yeah. It works most times. Sometimes not so much. But I'm here to study more of Toroma Lvado and the goings on and the things that are found here. It's amazing stuff. Brilliant. Would not understand the things that be found beneath the city. Most of these troglodytes have no idea what they're sitting on. He goes back to scribbling in one of his journals as you're sort of standing there.
As he's saying all of these, just after clocking the notes about these creatures that we encountered, Cathan will have walked back to our table, grabbed a bottle of whiskey and a few glasses, brought it back over, and would drag a chair across the floor and just take a seat at the table with this guy.
The whole sort of wooden chair on stone floor, just loudly drag it across the floor.
Drops onto the chair, pours a drink for myself and the fellow, and then just taps at the notes on these creatures.
Thank you.
Just,
and he sort of downs it quickly. Yes.
Can you tell me about those?
Ooh, those ones particularly. That one there is Belazu, a fascinating creature. Comes from Stygia, one of the layers of hell. You've probably heard of that. It kind of looks like a goat. Speaks infernal. Large claws, spiky tail, stinky. Very, very vicious. But rather intelligent too. Amazing creatures.
Oh, it speaks infernal.
Yes. Have you
got a
seen...
very good look at its tail.
Really?
And points at Zigzabu and says, "This one, I think, got a pretty good look at its insides."
I haven't quite got. And he sort of pulls the piece aside, and you can see he's half finished the tail, but he's not. I'm not quite sure of the proportions. Now you said you had a close look. Could you describe it in detail, as much detail as you possibly can?
I can describe the way it went past my face.
That'll do nicely. What did it smell like? What did it look like? Did it have like pustules or anything? Any detail would be good.
I'd just look for a blank piece of paper nearby and just be like, pencil thing.
There's pencils strewn all over the table.
I can see them. I'm still just demanding one.
He would just sort of flick one roll it across the table at you.
And yeah, I would just do my best effort to
draw performance check.
The tail.
We'll get a performance. Dexterity or performance, your choice.
We'll go with the performance. I'm happy with the performance roll.
23. That is a very good drawing, indeed. It is a very good drawing. And he sort of looks at it and he goes, "Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. And he then starts to complete his own drawing to equal, if not more so, detail than your drawing itself. All perfect proportion to his existing drawing already, and finishes off his notes. Now, did it exude anything? From what my researcher said, the claws sometimes sort of ooze and cause the dark magic, what they call it, necrotic stuff coming out. Did it ooze anything at all?
I didn't really notice its hands so much. I didn't really get a chance to use them. Zigzibule, fellow, I believe you got a good look at its
It was talking more about the
insides.
tail. You got a good look at the tail as it hit
Oh,
your
I
shield.
thought he was talking about claws.
No, that's where he said they normally ooze from the claws as well, but he was asking about the tail.
Yes. It looked very ickery.
Okay, so you see him writing previously on the notes. And you see, I have every intention to try and find one of these ruins and delve into the unknown, so to speak. Find some more creatures and artifacts and things. I'm here. I'm waiting for, who was it now? From oh God, my memory. And you see him sort of sitting there thinking for a bit, and then you sort of see him look to his side and sort of nod, and then turns back. That's right. Agents of G.N.O.M.E, or agents or employee something. People from G.N.O.M.E to come supposed to aid me to get into this place, and I'm supposed to sort of be the guide of sorts to artifacts and such. Supposed to be 4 of them, and he sort of look, and you see him sort of almost twig instantly, sort of, what? Oh, 4 strangers coming to the brass. You're from G.N.O.M.E. You've been the one I'm waiting for. Clearly. Pleasure to meet all of you. Again, Joseph, Earthworm, Worm, not Worm. And you said your name was Nathan, right? I shall remember that. And he sort of points to the rest of you asking for your names. You're a funny one. I like you. What is your name?
Zigzibule.
That's kind of creepy, but hello, welcome. And you, miss, your name, you're very pretty, very quiet, but very pretty.
My name is Katara.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful name. And he looks over at Phil and says, "Is he all right? Excuse me, are you?" Sort of pokes you, seeing that your eyes aren't really open. So, is he awake? Hello, are you all right?
I'm good.
Oh, you are awake.
I'm Phil. Well, that's what
Hello.
they call me.
Hi. So you're here to help me get into what beneath Toroma Lvado, and yes, lots of fun. But it's getting late, and I really need to get some sleep before we head out in the morning. I shall meet you down here bright and early, and we'll go over the notes and on how to get in, if that is if that's all right with you.
Sure. I guess, guys. Yeah. Any objections?
Cripsy, just when you redeem the advantage, it's just for the next player roll. Doing it slightly differently now. The next player roll is an advantage, guys. Bear that in mind. So he sort of excuses himself and picks up all his papers. He drops a few on the floor, drops a book, and you see him sort of bend over and sweat himself under his breath and picks it up. You see him a couple of times sort of turn to his right and say something under his breath. You can't quite hear it. And he sort of nods feverishly and then gets back to what he's doing, stuff in his books, and then heads upstairs. Leaving you at the table by yourselves for a moment. Dill with a DM advantage as well. So the next DM rolls an advantage as well.
Cathan, being Cathan, has taken a particular interest in the way he seems to be talking to something.
Hears that he is conversing with someone or something, or maybe himself, you're not sure. You couldn't see anything anyway.
It's Cathan's just, it's just
I'll get all of you to
storing this memory.
Yeah, I'll get all of you to roll a perception check for me as well at this point.
So we all get advantage?
No. Actually, yes. No, we'll give you all advantage. Fuck it. Why not? So right-click the perception and roll with advantage. If you've already rolled, just roll it again and take the higher. We got a 17. We got a 16. We got some high rolls there. I would say all of you. Yes, all of you would notice now, as within maybe 15, 20 minutes of Joseph leaving, or Jasper, sorry, leaving Jasper Earthworm left and headed upstairs to the rooms. Coming from the direction of where Jasper had sort of walked through the inn, you see a woman approaching your table. As she gets closer, you can see she's got short dark hair. It's pulled back in a sort of low braid ponytail at the back of her thing. It only comes just below shoulder length. She's wearing a modest form-fitting leather armor under a hooded cloak, of which now the hood is down. Mostly obscured under her cloak, you can see the hilt of a rapier at her left side. Which is attached to quite a large ornate belt with a similarly sized brass buckle right in the center. On her opposite hip is the length of red cloth which flares outward as it falls, ending roughly just past her knees. She boldly strides over the table and pulls the seat out that Jasper's sitting at, plonks it down, leans back on the back two legs and puts her feet up on the table. Good evening. Couldn't help
Cathan
notice
refills the glass that's an answer one.
Oh, very kind. Couldn't help see you talking to old Jasper. I'd kind of overheard conversation, and I'm familiar with this location that Jasper mentioned, like investigating monsters and artifacts and rumors of treasure beneath the city. Wondering if you're strangers here, you seem capable enough. Wonder if you'd be interested in maybe making a few extra coin. Don't need Jasper for that, stuffy librarian type. I'm looking to hire a capable crew. Make some good coin. If there's treasure down there, we'll find it. We'll bring it out. I have someone that can get rid of it quickly, if you know what I mean. Easy gold. Easiest gold you'll ever make. I mean, there's always danger, of course, but who doesn't like a good fight, right? You look like the type you like a fight, pointing to you, Ziggs.
I was about to ask, is it going to be painful?
Well, painful for someone.
Then I'm in.
Wonderful. Of course, the offer extends to you all. I mean, I can guarantee I can get you in to this place probably far easier than young Jasper. Seems quite stuffy and scatterbrained. I've been doing this a long time. Be relatively simple. I mean, you might have to fight your way through a few unknown creepies and creatures, perhaps, but we've all done that before, have we not?
But wouldn't this put us in bad standing with our agency?
Your agency need to know.
Oh,
I mean,
so
would
you're
you prefer
suggesting we
working for
can
yourself,
do...
perhaps, rather than working for someone else? Freelance.
It's nice. It's nice to have a steady, reliable stream of income in our line of work.
I have a fairly steady, reliable income. It just happens to come from other people's pockets, mostly.
Is there a way that we can make both parties happy, or are you in direct competition?
I'm in competition with whoever's competition with me. I work for me and no one else, really. I'm here to line my pockets. And those that are willing to help, of course. I mean, we can strike a good bargain and you prove as worthy as you seem. We could make a tidy profit for the next few months at least anyway, until I move on to the next project.
So you wouldn't be too mad about helping Jasper see what's down there?
I would doubt Jasper would survive what is down there, to be fair.
Perhaps we could convince him that we can bring back proof so that he doesn't need to die needlessly.
You can convince him of that, or no skin off my nose.
I like this plan. Fellas, Katara.
Katara agrees with Kathan.
Excellent. And what about you, oh drunken one? Is he awake? Can't tell.
Usually not, but I'll give him a nudge.
Go where the booze goes. So
Excellent. I can provide the whiskey.
magic.
And you look like you're spoiling for a fight, so I don't need to ask you whether you're in or out. Lovely. So, shall we meet, say, sunup, before Jasper gets out of bed and get out? I mean, you may have to.
It would defeat the purpose of convincing him.
I mean, well, I'm leaving at sunup. Choice is yours. You can come with me. You convince him tonight. I mean, if you aren't able to convince him, we get there before him, and no harm, no foul.
I think I have a way.
Lovely.
Deal.
Right. And it's about there where we will take a break, because you guys are going to head in. You're going to head up for the evening. I dare say Kathan's going to have a conversation before he turns in, maybe, or are you going to wait till the morning?
Kathan would have the conversation now, I think, yeah.
So we'll resolve that, and then we will make a decision. Do you guys wish to carry on? Because this could potentially go for another couple of hours, and Drax looks like he's already asleep, so...
Yeah, I was looking at the camera and I was thinking, it looks like I'm asleep, but I'm not. I was actually looking at the screen. My head's...
Yeah, I know. I was just... It does look like you're asleep.
From where I'm seeing, it looks like my eyes are closed.
Yep.
But they're not. I'm actually looking at the screen.
That's kind of exactly how I see Furious Bill, so it kind of works. But we haven't sort of entered into the dungeon itself, and we're already 2 hours in. So we can reconvene this at another time, because I know we don't have Waterdeep until the 11th. So we can finish this off next Friday night if you guys are available next Friday night. Because I think this next part's probably going to go for at least 2 hours.
Team consensus. I'm happy to go as long or short as people want, but I know I've got lots of time and other people do not. So
Yeah. It's more for Ari, because I know it's like stupid early for Ari, and I know Drax is not been well lately either. So, I mean, I'm happy we can run this for maybe another hour and sort of see how we go. If you guys are okay for another hour, otherwise we can call it here and we'll finish this off next week.
I'm happy either way, so I'll go with what the two others wanted to go for.
Well, I'm easy because it works either way for me.
It is stupid o'clock here.
Yeah,
but I'm okay.
That's right. You don't sleep anyway.
No, you don't.
We're right.
Yeah, I don't sleep. Well, I mean, the sun's up. I have to sleep now. I'm a vampire.
But yeah, so it's up. We'll take a break anyway. Have a think about it. Let me know when we come back, and we'll make a decision when we come back. Because I know, Jax, you've not been well, and you've not been sleeping well either. And I'd rather not go for another hour and have you actually fall asleep, or end up more ill, or with a. I mean, I know what it's like with migraines and shit. Fucking sucks. So I'm happy to take this break, come back, and maybe have a bit of a Q&A with the chat with you guys, and then call it there, and we can pick it up next Friday night and finish off next week. Same time.
Not a bad idea.
Because I don't know that we'll get it finished tonight. Like, I mean, we could even be looking at 2 to 3 hours in the dungeon itself, because it is a fairly sizable place. One shots are only supposed to run 4 hours, people, not 6 or 7. But hey, RP's the thing, and I like RP. Okay. But yeah, we'll take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll make a decision. Be right back, chat. And we're back. So we have made a decision. We're going to do the final bit of RP. And then we're going to call it an evening, and we're going to come back next Friday night and conclude this story, because it's going to run a little longer than expected, which is not a problem. I don't mind running longer, but we've got people that like Ari's, like the sun's starting to rise at her house, and it kind of is what it is, and we could end up with another 2 or 3 hours of gameplay. So firstly and foremost, as you've agreed with this individual, as she sort of flips the chair forward back onto its 4 legs and stands, she leans forward, grabs a glass, tops it up with whiskey, holds it up, and says, "Rosalinda, at your service," and then downs it, slams the glass down on the table. "See you at sunrise, out front."
Caitlin responds in kind.
And she spins on her heels and heads towards the door. And leaves you to it. Leaving you at the table by yourselves. It is, I say, it's starting to get late-ish. Obviously, Jasper's already headed to his room. You know you have rooms here, which has been taken care of by G.N.O.M.E. Anything you guys wish to discuss amongst yourselves before turning in for the evening?
I'll just start humming a small tune and occasionally playing a few notes on the flute as I start beginning a song of rest.
Nice. Explain what a song of rest does for our viewers and for the newbie player and for those that don't know what a song of rest is.
So for a song of rest to any friendly creatures, which is you all, I'm assuming, I hope, who can hear my performance, regain hit points at the end of the short rest by spending 1 or more hit dice. They can then add an extra d6 of hit points. I know we're all pretty healthy, but...
Yeah, which won't actually make much difference in this situation, but it's still kind of cool. Because you are going to be going into a long rest, so as well.
Just for flair purposes, Cathan, when hearing the tune you're bringing out on the flute, reaches to the chain on his neck and pulls his own flute out and just joins it.
Well, we might have to get a double performance check here. Let's see how good the dueling flutes go.
And it turns into the devil went down
28
to Georgia.
From Cathan.
Natural 20.
Natural 20 from Cathan. And an 8 from Ziggs. Zigzabil's not on form tonight. Maybe Cathan
picking up the slack.
Yeah, well, I'd say what's probably happened is he's probably being a little weirded out by the whole situation, and then when you first start playing, it sort of throws Zigzabil off. He stops for a moment, looking at you, and he sort of can't find the rhythm again. It takes him a little while. I mean, he knows how to play, and he plays reasonably well, but in this instance, he just couldn't quite get that back into rhythm right on sort of beat there for a moment, but eventually gets it. But
at the end, I realized that
you carry that tune a lot better that time.
I realized at the end there's a piece of my fingernail that's stuck in one of the holes. That's why it's been playing wrong. So I just pluck it out.
I love it. Oh, that's so funny. So yes, so that's that. Anything that Katara or Phil wish to discuss before turning in for the evening? With
Phil will get it.
or with each other.
Phil will get another thing of whiskey. Keep drinking.
I kind of want to make a con save, but I don't think Phil would. I'll get you to make a con save at advantage, because I get the impression that Phil's not one. He's not going to be hammered. Like he drinks, but he drinks. He knows what he needs to drink. Yeah, 14, you're good. It's Phil's Phil. Like he knows how to handle his booze. Is Katara a drinker or not? No?
No, at this point, Katara is just going to inhale real deep. Like take a big breath, close her eyes for a second, then stand up and go to her room.
say good evening to the gentleman, or does she just leave?
Yeah, she tells him good evening and then walks off.
Worries, easily enough done. So Katara has excused herself and headed for her room. Katara, you take off to the back of the inn, where the innkeeper himself sort of is standing talking to someone. You ask him for your room key. You tell him who you are and where you're from. That Gnome has taken care of your room, and he goes, "Ah, yes." And he grabs you a key, and it's got looks like a finger bone as the key ring attached to it. Engraved in the finger bone is number 7. You take that, you find room 7, and you turn in for the evening. The rest of you, after your little jaunt on the flutes are completed, and Phil gets his extra bottle, you then retire to your rooms. I know Cason's heading to Jasper's. You might need to have a conversation with the innkeeper first to find out what room Jasper is in. Do not know.
Before I leave, I'm a little happy that I was beaten on the flute, and I spend the next minute talking about flute playing to Cathan, except I weave in a little bit of sinister vibes with the language I'm using, and I need him to make a wisdom saving throw.
Awesome, I love it. Wisdom save, Cathan, please.
That is 8.
You hear the words of terror that I am speaking, and you are frightened of me for the next hour.
And with that conversation, Cathan bows out and just, so thanks, Sigsby. I guess I'll see you in the morning.
That is awesome. I love it. That leaves Phil and Sigsby at the table.
Phil looks up. What's his problem? Bet just drink.
I'll push my glass over that's half finished, and I'll just go, "Yeah, you can finish mine," and I'll head off to bed.
No worries. How long does Phil stay up drinking until that bottle that's on the table is finished? I'd say it's probably about half empty.
Oh, for sure. And he wouldn't want to waste a drop.
Okay, so I'll get you to make another con save. This time just a straight roll. Yeah, you're definitely at that. I mean, you know you're not getting into any kind of physical altercation. This is drinking for pleasure. You don't get sick, but you're definitely drunk. But for you, drunk is not drunk. So explain Phil's drunk.
Phil drunk, he would be, as usual swagger, like stagger, would be normal. He'd be completely still, and his eyes would be open. Like, he would look as more human or more normal.
He looks sober, basically.
He looks sober. Like, is a direct opposite.
When he's not drunk, he looks drunk. When he's drunk, he looks sober.
Exactly.
Pretty much. That's brilliant. I love it. With that, I'd say Phil finds his room key and eventually finds his room and goes to sleep.
He'll go upstairs and he would meditate on his bed.
No worries.
Arms, legs crossed.
Easily enough done. So, with that, Cathan, you approach the innkeeper. You get your room key. You make inquiries about Jasper Earthworm and where he might be staying, as you need to have a word with him before turning in for the evening yourself. You get a bit of a quizzical look from the innkeeper initially. Then he reluctantly sort of gives you the room after a bit of backwards and forwards discussion.
The whole we're with Gnome. He's hired us. We just got to talk about the job.
But also too the fact that he did see you sort of stand and look like you were about to aid Jasper in his altercation with the thugs earlier. He was a little bit more likely to give that information anyway. You find Jasper's room easily enough. Knock on the door, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 minutes, no answer. Knock again.
I would knock again and just call out and just be like, Earthworm, it's boy.
Another 3 or 4 minutes goes past, and then the door sort of cracks open like an inch. Then you see like the little beady eye, like without glasses on, sort of half asleep, but he sort of pokes his eyes through the. Yes. Oh, it's you. What do you want? I thought we were meeting in the morning.
It's about that. We've had a bit of a chat, and we've decided on the best course of action as your, how should I say, hired assistants.
You're my assistant, that's correct.
Yes, given our encounter on the roads earlier, where there were many dead people, we've decided we should probably have a look at clearing out some of that before you get there. So we're going to go have a scout ahead, and we will meet you back back here, once we have checked it out.
No, you are to escort me, and I'm to get you inside. You cannot get inside without me. You have the cipher? Do you have the ability to get into this place? I think not. Years of study. What do I say? You will not be able to get in without me.
How's this? We'll take a little bit of a wager here. Someone in our group believes that they have a pretty good chance of getting inside already. So, if we fail,
never gonna happen.
We'll come back right away and let you know. Otherwise, we'll bring proof that we got in. Wouldn't you enjoy a brain as well-versed as yours proving itself?
I know what you're up to. My brain is smarter than yours. Clearly. Reverse psychology will not work with me. I shall be going and be getting you inside. That's bottom line. Your employer is my employer. We work for the same people.
So you're happy getting hit by that very Icarus tail that I described to you earlier today?
We don't even know that thing is down there, and I told you I'm a wizard in training.
Wizard in training it is. Excellent. Well, I suppose that.
And he reaches through the door and grabs your wrist and casts shocking grasp on you. Which I believe is a roll to hit. Let's see if he actually hits.
I think you have advantage.
I had advantage too, didn't I? I forgot about that.
You did have advantage, yes.
Roll that again. Terrible roll. Wasn't much better. It fizzles. It sparks like static. You get it like a static shock instead of an actual shocking grasp. And he sort of, but I'm tired. I don't have my glasses on. I couldn't see properly. But I'll be fine. I'll see you in the morning.
Very good. See you then.
Slams the door shut and you hear it audibly lock.
I'm just gonna go see the orc barman and just be like, what were the room numbers of my comrades?
He gives you the room numbers of your comrades. Katara is in room 7, Zigzabule is in room 9, and Phil is in room 1. And you are in room 13.
Excellent. I will knock on the doors of each in turn, and just say through to them, he's not taking it. So we can split, or we can just walk on with him, or abandon him.
You do have the option to meet Rosalinda at sun up and get there before him as well. There is an option to either leave without him and get there early, or wait and leave with him.
So effectively, yeah, we'll just pass on that information through the door. Whether they're awake or not to hear, it's up to them, I suppose. That
I would say
yes,
most of them would
he
still be
will
awake.
still. Jasper is still going to be expecting to meet with at least one of us in the morning.
Are you sure you feel comfortable coming to my door?
Actually, probably.
That's a point.
Probably.
I would linger and just and go back to Katara and just be like, by the way, if you could just go pass that on to Ziggs Fuel, that would be great. Good night.
And with that, you all head to your own. We will buy that time in your own rooms, and you sleep. I'll get you all to mark off a long rest on your character sheets now, so we don't forget. To the top of your character sheets, for those who don't know where it is. And you sleep for the evening. So we will call it there, ladies and germs. Firstly, thank you everybody for coming and hang out with us tonight, and share this story with us. We will reconvene here next Friday evening, same time, to conclude this story. So for those of you, those players, you will not need to be here 30 minutes early this time around. The cameras are set, so we'll just get here as long as you're here by the 9 p.m. start time. I will put that information in the Discord, which will list in your local times as well. I'll get that in there before next week. But we'll be back next Friday, 9 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time, to conclude the Cult of the Horned King story. So before we finish up, something that I've started doing regularly and will generally continue to do is we will go around our panel of players and we will get them to just pick a moment that stood out from tonight's session, whether it was a moment from their own character or from another person's character, role play, combat, whatever, and just let people know what that was. Chat, same for you. If there's a moment that stood out for you, at Evildoer in the chat, and we'll read it out. So we'll start with Drax, Mr. Furious Drunken Phil. A moment from you, sir.
I liked it when he's like, Neon was like, it's just a nice little innocent creature just trying to get a meal. Too bad I'm about to use lightning or something.
Lightning whip.
Yeah.
That was. Well, but ripped his fucking leg off, you bastard. You're just trying to have breakfast, man. Speaking of Neon and Kaiten, next up we'll get a moment from Kaiten.
Similar point in the story. Zigzabule going up and just drawing his little devil smiley face in the entrails and just gleefully hopping off, just like hee. Just like, what
slightly
the fuck
creepy.
is this guy? And most of Zigzabule's antics, to be fair, are just
yes, I agree.
Spot on.
Funny, creepy, and kind of And might as well segue on to Zigzabule in that respect. Then Styx, a moment from you, good sir.
I just think it's probably the fact of like battle. What battle? Where's the ale?
Yes, definitely. Well, it definitely fits with Phil. He'd care more about that than fighting anything, really. I mean, unless he was fighting over that, then. But definitely. And Katara, aka Ari, a moment that stood out for you.
Phil pouring the whole bottle of whiskey in his backpack.
Yes, in his little portable fucking keg that he has in his backpack. So another thing I want to do is Miss Ari. Obviously, you have not really played D&D before. So some of you may notice that Ari was a little quiet, which is expected for new players. She'll get there. She'll come out of her shell. She'll get there. But you did fine. You did all right in the combat. You found stuff on the character sheet, all right. So, but don't be afraid to talk to the other characters in character or anything like that too, because we're all nice people, kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit. I mean, except for Drax, he's a prick. But
And Zigzabule is questionable. But
And yeah, Zigzabule is a questionable character, to say the least. But well done, everybody, including Ari. You did very well. I know for a fact being a newbie in anything can be quite nerve-wracking, especially in D&D with role play and things like that. It can be a little bit daunting, but when you know that people don't care if you make mistakes or whether anything like that, it makes it nice and easy. Especially with this bunch of louts too. Anywho, so we're gonna say good evening, ladies and Germanies of the chat. I will be not on tomorrow day. I have my nephew's birthday tomorrow, and then I got my own home game D&D tomorrow evening. So there'll be no stream tomorrow. I'm probably going to pick up the day stream, which will normally start at around 10 a.m. New Zealand time, which is about 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So that'll be 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night for you guys in the US. So I'll probably do that and do some more Season 1 Diablo, which I've actually quite enjoyed. The first season stuff, as much as the nerfs that they laid down, I've quite enjoyed it. I'm playing a Blizzard or an Ice Sorcerer, which is interesting. I have found it a little difficult soloing some stuff, but Dill has been helping me with that as well. So we might see Dill again on Sunday with me with that as well. And that'll be on Kick also. So all day streams will be on Kick. All night streams will be on here on Twitch. Yes, Blizzard on Blizzard. Exactly. Well done. But yes, thank you very much. We should probably raid someone, shouldn't we? Who is online? Who can we raid? And GM Workshop is doing Baldur's Gate 3. We should raid another D&D. Another set of D&Ders. See who's on the D&D. If anyone has any suggestions, feel free to let me know. Check out the D&D. I know Critical Role is running right now. We don't need to raid them. Robear's live too. Is he running a rerun? More than likely. D20 death matches.
Friendly, here's one we've rated previously, isn't he?
Yeah, we rated them. We haven't rated them for a while though. Are they on?
He's got one viewer.
I'm not even sure I'm still following them.
Doing one shot Cave of Voices by the looks of things.
Oh yeah, we have rated them before. Why am I not? I was following them. Why am I not following them anymore? That's weird. Damn you, freaking Twitch, for unfollowing people. They're doing a one-shot Cave of Voices. The one just started too, so I will refollow them and then we will raid them. /raid friendly here. Felt that right. I think I did. Right, chat. We're gonna do that. We're gonna raid friendly here. Stick around for the raid. Go say good day, and we will see you guys on Sunday.